If you look at slide 17, this is a picture of a bean field just half a mile down the road from us. And you can I would just want you to get a sense of, how vulnerable that crop is to erosion, wind and rain erosion. But the other thing I want you to notice is look at the crop here. Look at the date on here. This is June 22nd. This is the first or second day of summer, right? And how much photosynthesizing is happening in that field right there? Look at the trees in the background there. Those trees have been photosynthesizing since, April. The evergreens in there will photosynthesize all winter long. In photosynthesis, obviously what you're doing is you're pulling carbon out of the air, you're creating biomass, you're respiring, you're putting oxygen into the air. You're actually doing something positive on the planet. You're building wealth, you're building soil, you're harvesting carbon and producing oxygen on the planet by this process of photosynthesis. But the bean field hasn't even started. How much photosynthesizing is happening there? Practically nothing. If you look at the next picture, it's I'm standing in the exact same spot, but a year later. Go back and forth between the two. You look at the trees in the background, and then look at the corn with the trees in the background. Same spot, and look at the date. This is the end of August. This is the next year's corn, beans, corns, beans, corns. This is a pretty typical rotation. But this corn is already fully grown, and it is in the process of becoming dormant. The heads, the ears of corn are drying. How much photosynthesizing is happening in that field? Practically nothing again. But the trees are still photosynthesizing. Even the grass in the foreground is still processing. And look at the next slide. I'm on 19. Here's the same picture again. I want you to notice something else here. Look at the foreground. You see the grass? I'm standing on the road, and this is the grass in the ditch. I didn't even notice this when I was taking the picture, but this is the grass in the ditch at my feet. The seed heads on this grass are already mature. That grass is distributing its seed already. It's gone through an entire reproductive cycle, and that bean field hasn't even begun yet, or hardly begun. You might consider this agricultural desert land because it really isn't doing much work yet. Now, I'm going to take my camera, and I'm just going to turn around. There's a ditch behind me, or a ravine, which is a runoff ditch where they move water off the landscape. Look at the next slide, slide 20, and take a look at the vegetation in there. You can see the bean field in the upper right-hand corner. Now, this ditch, other than when it was dug, back in the 50s or 60s, last time it was dredged or cleaned out, and maybe they threw in some seeds. Other than that, nobody, tills it. Nobody herbicides it or weeds it or pesticides. Nobody even looks at this ditch except the fall when they go pheasant hunting. This ditch is forgotten. And yet look at the amount of vegetation in there. What we attempt to do with permaculture design is to find a way to duplicate systems like this that grow themselves, that do the work themselves, and yet provide a bountiful harvest for us. Throw an apple tree in there, for example. Just throw an apple tree in there and imagine it's mature. And every, spring, you don't touch it, you don't look at it, but you show up around, July 1st, and apples are starting to form in this tree. Some early varieties will actually be producing apples in July or August. And you just start harvesting apples. So imagine you had 20 other varieties of crops in there, all of them doing all their own thing, and all you do is come along and harvest. There's a good design for you.